Camera gear. It's always a topic that gets everybody all fired up and excited. And today, we're talking about it. And before we start this video, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's been watching the channel, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like, leaving a comment down below. You guys rock. And if you're new to this channel, you might want to consider hitting the subscribe button because it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. All right, so one of the first things that I want to mention is that I carry all my gear in this Pelican 1510 case. And if you're not familiar with this case, I did a review on it, and you can watch it here in the info card here. But this is how I store everything. And I have the peace of mind knowing that everything's going to be kept safe in here while I'm transporting it from venue to venue, or from the church to the venue, you know what I mean. So this goes in my trunk, and I know that all my gear in here is going to be safe. So this thing is heavy. It's a massive beast, so I'm going to get this out of here. So the next thing I want to mention is that I carry all my lenses in here with a speed light, memory cards. I have my little blower, my lens cleaning kits in here, and this stays with me at all times during a wedding day. And so this is a little bit easier to transport than the Pelican 1510 case, and this is the Peak Design 10-liter sling. And this is pretty easy to transport. It has a little handle up here, and also something where I can carry it pretty easily throughout the day. Okay. So the camera that I have been using for the 2019-2018 wedding season has been the Sony a7 III. It's got a 24.2 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor. So what does that mean? That means it's a beast. I'm just kidding. And I have two of these bodies. I have this one, and then the other one's recording me right now. It has two card slots for redundancy recording. So I know if one SD card breaks, the other one is still gonna have my images, and I'll have to call the bride later and tell her that all her images were lost because the damn SanDisk card corrupted again. It's great in low light. I can comfortably shoot this camera up to 10,000 ISO if I need to, and I know that the image will be usable. Anything past 10,000 ISO is already kind of like a no-go for me. But this thing is a low light beast, and you know, there's plenty of reviews on this, so I don't want to touch on this too long. But the main thing that sold me on this, and I know it might seem like a downer to a lot of people, but the eye autofocus on this camera is what really sold me on switching over from Canon. There's really no going back to using the little focus toggle and, you know, moving your focus point across the screen and then focusing. And the one main thing that I really love about this camera is that you can really just hit a button, the camera will focus on the eye, and you can compose your image. And you're now thinking about composing the image, the exposure, the lighting, and you're not having to think about focus anymore. I know for a fact that 9 out of 10 times, 10 out of 10 times, this camera will always nail the focus. There's no longer this concern later after a wedding as to whether my images were in focus or not. That's the issue that I used to have with DSLRs. This thing will always get it. So I highly recommend it. All right, we're gonna talk about lenses now. And this is gonna be my most used and favorite lens of all time. And this is the Sigma 35mm 1.4 Art Series lens for Sony E-mount. And this thing has been a workhorse of a lens. And if I could only use one lens for a wedding, I know how ridiculous it sounds, it wouldn't be a 50mm. It would definitely be this 35mm lens. This thing is super versatile. It's got a 1.4 aperture, so it lets in a lot of light. That aperture gets really big, gets a lot of light in, gives you that shallow depth of field. On top of that, this thing is super versatile. So I use this thing to shoot pretty much everything you can imagine on a wedding. I use it for details. I use it to shoot the reception, the venue, the outdoor stuff, all the landscape type of shots. I also use this for the couple session, bridal portraits, family photos. I take this thing out with me onto the dance floor. This thing is just an absolute beast. And for the price, you can't beat it. There's just something about it that really, really gets me. And I'm just a sucker for this 35 1.4. So the next lens I want to talk about is the 85 1.8 FE lens. Now this is a really cheap lens, actually, considering it. A couple hundred, I think it's like 600 bucks, 500 bucks for 85 1.8 aperture. This thing is great. The 85 millimeter focal length combined with the 35 millimeter gives you two different looks. And that's why I shoot with these two combos. And majority of the time I have a 35 on one body and an 85 on the other body. And with just these two lenses, you can shoot an entire wedding. And, you know, you're gonna have to move around a little bit. You can't zoom in or out, but you can definitely do it. And so if I only had two lenses to pick from, I would definitely pick the 35 and the 85, because this is more versatile for portraits, especially when you're shooting the bride, because it gives you that nice compression, shallow depth of field, gives us, you know, the soft skin. And then on top of that, I use this also when I want to kind of like shoot over people's shoulders, or if I want to shoot through things where people are not really going to notice me that much. This is a really great lens for that. And the best bang for your buck right here is this 85, because you know the Sony 85 1.8. The Sony sells the G Master version of this, which is like double the price.
No, God, please, no, no!
I just don't see the need for it. This lens is sharp enough. The only complaint that I have about it is when you're shooting high contrast scenes, you have a lot of chromatic aberration. And of course, that stuff is easily fixed in post and Lightroom. So it's not a huge deal breaker for me. You just have to, it's just an extra step you're gonna have to take, and saving, you know, half the price of a G Master lens. This thing rocks. So this lens, this is the Sony 70-200 2.8 G Master. And this thing really broke my pocketbook buying it. And I wouldn't want to say that in a wedding day, this is probably my least used lens, to be honest. But there's just something about this. I use this more now for like headshots, and I do like portraits and stuff, because this thing is super sharp. It's a super sharp lens, considering that it's a zoom, you know, a zoom lens. But the only time I really use this thing is during my ceremonies. So on a ceremony, I'll have the 35 millimeter on one camera body, and then I'll have this on a separate camera body, because I don't like to be in the center of attention for a wedding. So I'm typically on the outside on the aisles, shooting inwards and trying to stay out of the action as much as I can. And then if I really need to, I'll kind of step up a little bit, but I don't want my couples or the party, the guests, to be focusing on me or getting distracted by me. So this is why I got this, so I don't have to get too close to the action and stay on the outskirts. And especially this is great for like getting candids and stuff of people crying, or like good reactions. You can zoom in at 200 millimeters and you can get people's reactions, because even though this is a huge white lens, if you're sitting in the back in the corner, you could zoom in into 200 millimeters and get these great reactions of people. So for that reason, that's kind of why I still keep this and why I bought it. This is also another lens that I use on a wedding day. And this is the 16-35 2.8 G Master lens. And initially I had bought this lens for doing my videos and for video work. And then I can't remember who it was, but I saw a video of somebody who said that they use these wide angle lenses on the dance floor. And once I started using this wide angle lens for the reception after like the first dances and stuff, man, was I blown away. The type of style and the image that you can get. So what you can do is you can zoom this in or zoom this out to 16 millimeters, and you get right up close to people dancing and stuff. It's just a unique look that you get, and I really dig it. So I've kept it, and I still use this for video work anyways. So the next thing that we want to talk about is lighting. I think the most difficult part about wedding photography is the lighting scenarios that you're faced with. And so I carry 3 of these, and these are the Godox V860s, and I have 3 of these, and then I have 2 of the little triggers. So these, the Godox is this is the called the Godox X Pro S trigger. So when you buy the Godox V8, so when you buy the Godox V860 and you buy the trigger, they communicate with each other. And so I have a lot of these, and I also have the 8200 somewhere around here. But I have a lot of these, and all I do, mostly for the reception, I have these paired with the Magmod systems, and I just have 3 of these lights pinned up around the dance floor, and then I'm good for the whole night. And if you're just getting started in your wedding photography, I would say at least just buy one, and you could get away with just using one, and hopefully you can do bounce flash in your venue that you're shooting at. And then over time you can build up your collection of different lights and stuff. And so the last piece of gear that I want to talk about is this hold fast moneymaker strap. And this is how I carry both of my camera bodies. One of the reasons I went with this is, you're paying more for this product is because it looks cool, first of all. I mean, I think I get more compliments about this stuff than I do on my camera gear or anything else. People always come up to me and always ask me about this strap, like, hey, what are you wearing? You look like a detective or something. And so it's kind of like an icebreaker. That's kind of why I enjoy using that thing. And but the other reason is because I can carry both of my camera bodies. And so when you're shooting on prime lenses, you don't have that zoom capability. So you have to kind of compensate with that by carrying 2 bodies. And like I said, people compliment me more on that than my cameras. Like, people always ask about the strap, never ask me like, hey, what are you shooting? Nikon, Canon, what is that? What kind of camera? No, it's always about the strap. I hope you enjoy watching all the gear that I use during a wedding day. I plan on doing a video where I walk you through a whole wedding with me. I was actually planning on doing that this week, but there was a lot of rescheduling and cancellations due to coronavirus. So unfortunately, I have to postpone those videos for, a couple months from now, which is fine. People's health and safety is more important right now than doing weddings. But for now, I'm going to be doing videos talking about wedding gear, my thoughts on certain wedding topics, how to become a preferred vendor, all those type of things in the meantime while we're waiting this stuff out. And so if you want to see more videos like that, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like, comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.